Dysphagia refers to impaired swallowing. Many people experience difficulty with swallowing after a stroke. Swallowing is a complex, well-coordinated process that involves the lips, tongue, throat, larynx, and esophagus. Anyone with impairment in any one of these areas may experience difficulty chewing, coughing, or choking while eating. Dysphagia can lead to weight loss, aspiration pneumonia, dehydration, and make eating very uncomfortable. When food or liquids go down the wrong way, this is called aspiration. Aspiration can lead to pneumonia, which can be deadly. Sometimes people have impaired sensation after a stroke, and they may not feel when food or liquids go down the wrong way. This is called silent aspiration, and is very dangerous because the person has no feeling that things are entering their lungs. I'm going to show you the swallow process using the graphics on this iPad. First, we're going to talk about the structures that are involved with swallowing. This is a lateral view of the head, and this is the tongue. The tongue is so important in swallowing because it gathers the food together into cohesive bolus to push it on down. The base of the tongue back here pushes the food down the back of the throat. The soft palate is up here. It's the part of the roof of the mouth, and it lifts up and closes off the nasal passage so food or liquid doesn't go up through your nose. The pharynx is what we call the muscles inside the throat, right there. The vallecula is the space at the base of the tongue, and we'll see more of that later. And the larynx is this bony structure down here that houses the vocal folds. Those are the vocal folds right there. This is the airway that goes down into your lungs. The epiglottis is this flop of tissue right here that's going to flip down and cover the airway when we swallow. The hyoid bone is a structure right here at the base of your chin. When we swallow, it pulls forward to help the epiglottis flip down and cover the airway. The esophagus is the tube going down into your stomach. It is always closed until we actually swallow. And when we swallow, the larynx pulls up and pulls open the esophagus. And there's a little space at the top of the esophagus called the piriform spaces where food and liquid can collect if someone has a weak swallow. So when we swallow, the food or liquid is controlled by the tongue. And once it hits the back of the tongue, it triggers the swallow reflex. When the swallow reflex is triggered, a number of things happen all at once. The soft palate goes up and closes off the nasal passage. The tongue pushes the food to the back of the mouth. The hyoid bone pulls forward and flips down the epiglottis. The trachea pulls up to open the esophagus and let food or liquid goes down. So that was a normal swallow. Now I'm going to show you an impaired swallow. Right there is that vallecula, the space I was talking about earlier. This is an example of a very weak swallow, and so the liquid of the food is going down the airway into the lungs. This is a good example of silent aspiration because the person did not cough, they did not feel it going down the wrong way. I'll show you one more time. The epiglottis did not come down and cover the airway. The larynx did not pull up very much, and there's all this pooling here that is sliding down the wrong way. And we're going to look at one more example of an impaired swallow. This time, the tongue base is not going to push all the way to the back of the throat. So you'll have a lot of pooling here in this vallecular space. So see, the tongue is not really working like it did in the normal swallow. And there's all this pooling going on. That pooling can later drip down and cause aspiration. When a person has dysphagia, they may be on a special diet textures. Your speech pathologist will inform you which diet textures you're supposed to follow. But no matter what diet textures you're on, there are some things you can do to make you safe while you're swallowing, and it involves posture. So the first thing is to sit up straight. You do not want to eat or drink lying down in bed or slouched in a recliner. So Chris is going to demonstrate these postures. The first one is to sit up straight. And then the next one is a chin tuck. And when you tuck the chin in and down. So you don't want to hang your head forward because that's not protective. But when you tuck your chin in and down, it keeps liquid from going down the wrong way into your lungs. So try taking a sip of water like that, Chris, with your chin tucked in and down. It feels good?
Yeah, good.
So another posture that might be recommended is a head turn. Sometimes the speech therapist will say turn your head to the right or the left when you're swallowing. So Chris, try turning your head to the right. Okay, and sometimes the speech pathologist may recommend a head tilt, and that's where you turn your head either to the right or the left and tuck your chin down. So let's try that one. Yep. So Chris has her head turned to the right and she's tucking her chin down. So follow the instructions your speech therapist has recommended. If you're eating and drinking and your voice sounds wet or gurgly, then you need to cough and clear your throat. Because if it sounds wet and gurgly, that means liquid is sitting on your vocal folds and you want to get that out of the way so it doesn't go down into your lungs. Sometimes when people drink and cough, they try to stifle the cough. But the best thing to do is to cough, 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 and swallow. You don't want to stop coughing, and you don't want to drink water while you're coughing. You want to wait until everything has gone down and you've swallowed a couple of times before you resume eating or drinking. Another thing to do when you're eating and drinking is to take small bites and small sips, and also to put your cup or your fork down in between each bite. And that will keep you safe. These are airway protection exercises. The first one is to take a deep breath, push down on a chair, and just hold it. Go ahead, Chris. And then relax. Good. So the next exercise, you do the same thing. Take a big breath, push down on the chair, and then cough. Good. That exercise can be done also when you are really coughing to make your cough stronger. Another airway protection exercise is to take a deep breath and say, ah, and hold it as long as you can. Go ahead, Chris. That's great. The stronger your voice is, the better your airway protection will be. So this next set of exercises are pharyngeal adduction exercises. They're designed to strengthen the muscles in your throat. So the first one you're going to do is go gah, as strong as you can. Go ahead, Chris.
Gah.
Good. When you're doing that, you're tightening the muscles in the back of the throat and the base of the tongue. And the next one you're going to do is to take a big breath and go hi-ya. Go ahead, Chris.
Hi-ya.
Good. You did a good job tightening up all the muscles in your throat with that. And then another one you can do is to tighten all the muscles in your throat and go grrr. Go ahead, Chris.
Grrr.
Good. You did really well with that. And another one is a dry gargle. So when you do a dry gargle, you're just pretending you're gargling like this. Good. And then another one that's going to help strengthen all these muscles is called the falsetto E. So you take a big breath and you say E at the highest pitch you can. So it's E. Go ahead, Chris. Good. That exercise will help strengthen all the laryngeal musculature. So another exercise to help with pharyngeal adduction is to suck on the end of the straw, keeping the end closed. So Chris, you're going to stick that in your mouth, pinch off the end, and suck on it. So see how our muscles there are tightening up? That looks great. And then relax. Whenever you do exercises where you're holding your breath or you're sucking in, you don't want to do it for any longer than 5 seconds. That was good.
Why not?
Because if you do it too long, you're going to raise your blood pressure. And most people who've had strokes have to be very careful about their blood pressure. You don't want to raise it too high. So this next set of exercises are base of tongue exercises. So the first one we're going to do is to push your tongue out against the tongue blade. You want to push your tongue straight out and press hard for 10 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent, Chris. That's the way you would do it, and most people should do these 10 times in a row. Okay. Another exercise you can do to strengthen your base of tongue is to try and swallow with the tip of your tongue held between your teeth. So you're going to take the tip of your tongue, hold it between your teeth, and try and swallow, Chris. Good for you. You did well with that. That's hard to do. Most people can only do 1 or 2 of those in a row. Another base of tongue exercise is to swallow as hard as you can with liquid or saliva. So just do a real strong swallow, Chris. Yep. Take a little sip. And squeeze all your muscles when you swallow. Good. Does that feel all right?
Yes.
Okay. So the next exercise is to do a yawn, and when you do the yawn, you pull the tongue in the back of your mouth. So open your mouth wide, Chris, and pull your tongue all the way to the back, and just stretch it there. Good. That's good, and you can relax. And then the last one is to take the tongue and press it up against the roof of the mouth and push hard for 10 seconds. So lift your tongue up as if you're scraping peanut butter off the roof, and then scrape it a little towards the back, and then press hard. And press, as you're doing that, you should feel all the muscles under your chin tightening up. That's where the base of the tongue goes. Great. So this next exercise is called the modified shaker exercise. It's designed to strengthen all the pharyngeal muscles in your throat. So to do this, Chris, you're going to stick your hand on your forehead and push your head against your forehead, against your hand. So you're going to push hard and hold it for 10 seconds. And I can feel the muscles in her neck tightening as she does this. So she's doing it correctly. And then you can relax. So that's something you can do 10 times in a row and hold it for 10 seconds. So previously we showed you the modified shaker, which is done by pushing your forehead against your hand, and that's for people who have neck or back problems. This is the real shaker. Chris is lying flat on the mat. She's going to tuck her chin and lift it off the table. So tuck your chin and lift. And you notice she's just lifting her head. She's not lifting her shoulders. She's doing it exactly the way she's supposed to. And then relax, Chris. So to do this exercise correctly, you keep your shoulders and your back on the table, tuck your chin, go ahead, Chris, and lift. And you want to hold it for at least 10 to 20 seconds the first time you do it. If that's easy, then you can do it for 30 seconds and relax, Chris. The idea with this exercise is to work up to being able to do it for 60 seconds at a time, 10 times in a row. But start off gently. I suggest starting off with 10 to 20 seconds, holding it, and then you rest for the 10 to 20 seconds that you've held it before you repeat it. So again, to do the shake here exercise, you just tuck your chin and lift your head gently off the table, keeping the shoulders and the back flat on the table.